How y'all doing today? My name's Ayin, and today's topic of discussion is going to be front row people in your life. Front row people in your life. Now, when I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking about it from a visual standpoint. Before we get to that front row, I'm going to think about you being on that stage. You being on that stage with your castmates for a play that you're putting on or a show that you're putting on, some sort of theatrical event. Because after all, we're all up for display. We're all examples to everybody. Everybody's an example to everybody. Whether you choose to take something from that or not, everybody's an example. So on that stage, you have your castmates. Your castmates are your family that are in your innermost circle. Mainly, I'm thinking about the ones in your household, because you affect them on a daily basis, they affect you on a daily basis. Now, outside of that, you have your front row. People that have the front row in your life. This extends to some of your closest confidants, whether it's really close friends that are like brothers or sisters or cousins. That front row. I think you know what I'm talking about when we're talking about that front row. Now, the reason why it's so important to have a healthy front row with the people that's in your life, because you're dealing with them the most outside of that stage. The castmates that's on that stage with you. So these close friends, you impact them and they impact you. They're closest to you. They're in a different part of your life than other people on those back rows. As that audience gets wider and wider, you interact with them most. So with that being said, I know you heard me say on my channel before, not everybody deserves a front seat in your life. And the reason being is because of the things that we said leading up to the point of me saying this. Because you have such a close impact on them and them you. Some people, they allow anybody to sit in that front row. They let anybody have that VIP seating, whether they're healthy or not. And then you find yourself doing about the equivalent of whatever you have in your circle. If you got people that are all over the place, then you're all over the place, because you got to be all over the place to interact with these people in the amount of time that you're doing that. But this is the point that I'm getting ready to draw out here. This is probably the most important point. It is the most important point. In order for you to be successful in anything that you're doing, being a better you, because like I say on this channel all the time, being a healthy you is not only being a healthy you for you, but it's being a healthy you for everybody that's around you. Just because you have people that are in that front row, in that front circle in your life that are doing good, doesn't necessarily mean that they're good for you. Just because they're successful in whatever ways that they're successful does not mean that they're good for you. Case in point, think about somebody who is successful in whatever it is that they're doing. But anytime you're making a come up or you're trying to do something to better yourself, maybe they're knocking you down. You have people like that. You have people that like to keep others around just because they feel that they hold some sort of position in their life. They're on some sort of hierarchy, or they have some sort of hierarchy going on in their head where they think, well, I like having Ayin around because he makes me feel good about the things that I'm doing. The front row people in your life, it's a give and a take. So in other words, the point that I'm making is you can't deem somebody being front row worthy just because they're successful, but then they're not successful in the relationship with you. Because it's too closely tied. Think about it. Would you have people sitting in the front row that boo? Come on, by your choice, would you have people that sit in the front row that would boo you? No, either you would want them way towards the back, because that's how people normally like to do. They like to move in silence. They like to act anonymously with things that they're doing. So that's the reason why those boos normally come from further back in the audience. They can't see me. It's funny, or whatever the reason is that they're doing for what they're doing. Just like how people do things to you in your life, And sometimes we scratch our head and we stand bewildered trying to figure out why it is what they're doing. That's the reason why I tell you not to waste time on the things that they do. Or perhaps you don't want people in the audience booing, so you'd rather not have them in the theater at all. Let alone be at the front row in your life. That's what I'm talking about. That give and take, it has to be healthy on both ends. Hey, you came here to the show, and I'm having this show for you. Appreciate the show. Appreciate sitting in the front row of appreciate sitting in the front row of my life. Because see, now when it's your time to perform, hopefully I'm in the front row of your life, and I'm encouraging you on. You got to think about this when you're having people in your circle of life or whatever you're doing. Why would you want somebody there that didn't want to be there? Why do you think places that you go, whether it's a concert or movie event, people who are disruptive to the other people that came there to see the show, they're escorted out of there? Do you think people are performing and are on stage to be knocked down and discouraged? No, if that's the case, I could have just stayed at home and never even tried. So it's the same thing with how you have people set up in your life. It's a give and a take. Who cares that all the people sitting on the front row are millionaires? They could be millionaires and booing me. That's the topic of this video. You want to ensure that the same way that you're trying to be healthy with people that's in your life, that they're reciprocating that. Like I said, you're not going to get a equal split 50-50 down the line always. It's just not. Relationships are give and take. People are imperfect just as you are. Things that you may feel that people are falling short on, they may feel that you're falling short on. But it's always a work in progress. Relationships are maintenance. They have to be maintained. You always have to put back in on them. But I'm talking about these unhealthy relationships, these one-sided relationships that come in any form, where all they do is take, or they're there to boo you, or they're there to ridicule. Like I said, don't get this confused with constructive criticism. Think about it. Front row people in your life. Who do you have sitting on the front row? In the meantime, while you're thinking about it, check out a book I've written. I Am Kilimanjaro's The Arithmetic of Family Communication. I will leave a link in the description box. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Follow me on my other social media, Facebook, Tumblr, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Obviously, I'm on here. This is where you're watching the video. Until next time, stay encouraged. Avoid being discouraged. I'm Ayin. You have a good one.